Okay, in this video tutorial, I'm going to demonstrate how to create a new shapefile, an empty shapefile that you can digitize into. In the map, I've already loaded the 1953 St. Helena photo that you georeferenced from last lab, and also the Sulphur Creek TIFF that we were given. I also added the bounding box from the Lab 5 data folder. This marks the extent of our research area for land use change. Okay, so what you do to create a new shapefile, I use the catalog shortcut over here and browse to the location that you want to create your new shapefiles in. So basically, I have a Lab 5 folder, or Lab 5B folder. That's where I want to keep my new shapefiles. So I'm going to right-click on this folder and choose New Shapefile. It lets me name it, and I think I'll call them SH for St. Helena 1953. Maybe land use, just to be thorough. Excuse me. We want these to be polygon shapefiles. And then for the coordinate system, remember you need to put this in at this step. If you skip this step, you're going to have issues later. So the best way to handle this is just deal with this up front. We don't have to select it from scratch, although we could. We can borrow from our existing data. We know that these have the proper coordinate system. If you doubt that, you absolutely should double check it before you get started. But we can borrow. You can see that it's populated what we want up here, and then we can just hit OK. So importing is a shortcut. If you have data that already has the correct coordinate system assigned to it, you can just use the import button and borrow from something else, versus using the select button where you have to go through and kind of whittle down through the menus to find the one you want. This is a little bit safer, I think. So just double check that this all looks good and hit OK. It creates the new shapefile and automatically populates it into your map document for you. You can see it here, and then it's over here in the catalog. So we're going to do one more. We created 1953, into which we're going to digitize the land use, the land cover in 1953. We're going to do the same thing for 2002, new shapefile. We'll call it the same thing, St. Helena 2002, land use, polygon, and we'll do the same thing and import it from an existing layer. Okay. So it automatically puts both of these into your map document. Notice that it's assigned some random symbology, but nothing shows on the map, and that's because we haven't actually done anything with these yet. So to get started digitizing, now you have two layers that you can create data in. And you start editing by using the editor toolbar. This is kind of a mess. I have it customized to suit my own needs, but if you don't have the editor toolbar open yet, you right-click in any gray area, and it brings up a list of all the available toolbars. So you just want to make sure the editor toolbar is checked. And when it opens, you'll drop down and choose Start Editing. Now, the Start Editing window gives you a list of all the available data layers in your map, layers that are available for data or for editing. So we want to make sure these little geodatabase icons, the one that's active has a pencil across it. So we want to make sure that we're selecting the data that we want to be able to edit. Notice that it puts a pencil across both of these, and that's because they're located in the same folder. So you can edit multiple shapefiles as long as they're located in the same folder. So you could either choose the source down here, which would make both of these editable. If we pick a different source, it makes a different layer editable. You can go either way, but you just want to make sure that between here and here you have the right thing selected, and hit OK. It should open this Create Features window over on the right, and you'll see that both of your layers that you want to be editing are populated here, but no tools have been filled in down below. All you have to do is just click on one of these layers, and it'll set up the construction tools depending on what type of feature class this is. These are both polygon feature classes, so it gives us a set of polygon tools. If these were a point or a line file, you'd have a different set of tools down here, and that's why this doesn't auto-populate. So we can get started digitizing, and let's say we want to start with 1953. We've got our 1953 photo turned on. One way, and it's not the only way or the best way that you could go about this, is to digitize all of your land-used types all in the same shapefile. You could also create a shapefile that's just agriculture. You could create a shapefile that from 1953 for agriculture, one for urban, one for undeveloped, one for whatever you want them to be. Create one shapefile for each one and keep them separate. It's a little cleaner, but it's a little clunkier, I think, to do it that way. I'm choosing to do them all in one, and then using the attribute table to differentiate between the different land cover types. And I'll show you how to do that in the next tutorial. But to get started, 1953, I'm going to choose my polygon tool, and it gives me some crosshairs. I think it's important to differentiate that this riparian, this is Sulphur Creek running through the middle of our study area, and this is undeveloped in my mind. So I'm going to start here and just start digitizing along the edge of the riparian zone. You can be as detailed as you want. It's probably a really good idea to zoom in more than this. You can stop what you're doing right now and use your zoom tool. Zoom in a little bit more. Then all you want to do is just grab this polygon tool to reset that. Now I'm just going to digitize down to the road for kicks and then go back. But notice that my polygon as it builds can get kind of crossed over on itself. Ignore that and just keep moving. And as you digitize, it knows that you're digitizing the perimeter of a polygon. So even though it might overlap on itself, it will sort itself out if you just keep following the edge of your polygon. A lot of these are shadows. You might want to look very closely as you do this. I can stop and grab my pan tool and drag it down, then reset the polygon tool and just keep going. Now you're going to want to snap to the bounding box border, because ultimately your areas, as you get this entire area digitized, the areas of each of these polygons should sum to the same area as your bounding box. So you want to be really careful when you're digitizing to make sure you're snapping to the existing features to make sure that these polygon edges are coincident with each other. The snapping tool is a separate toolbar that you can open inside the editor. There's a snapping feature here. You can open the snapping toolbar. I already have it open on my desktop, and these are the different snapping options. But you can play around with this a little bit. The options gives you the tolerance, so you can determine how sensitive you want your cursor to be. You can use it, pixels. There's another place where you can set map units in here, but pixels works just fine. As I came around to the end here, when I got back to where I started, I double-clicked to finish this. You can also right-click and hit Finish Sketch. It's in here someplace. Finish Sketch is activated when you're actively editing. But that's the long and short of it. Once you've got your first shapefile done, just to get some basics, you can choose this little edit tool, double-click on this line, and it brings up the vertices that you created. You can right-click on these once you get the kind of multi-arrow crosshair thing and choose to delete vertex. You can select multiple, and then if you get your cursor right over them, delete vertices that way. If you click off this sketch, notice that it's kind of showing you a ghost of what it's going to look like. It's got a ghost of what it used to look like. If you click off, it sets it to what you just did. I'm going to stop the tutorial there, and then we'll pick up on another one in a second.